Now, tech startups globally are laying off employees at a level not seen in more than 2 years. A leading tech layoff tracker says more than 20,000 people have been made redundant since April. Most of these positions were in the U.S. The layoffs come amid a tech slump and a drop in IPOs worldwide, which have narrowed the fundraising options for startups. Analysts say venture capital funding is drying up. Investors are less likely to pump in new funds if they cannot recoup their investments from a stock float. A weak portfolio performances at big tech investors such as SoftBank and Tiger Global also rippling through to affect funding. And this is piling the pressure on startups to control spending. Well, Tan Chien Ping, the Director of People, Culture and Sustainability from White Coat Global, joins us to talk about the situation here in Asia Pacific. Well, Chien Ping, so it's not a very good picture for the U.S. tech scene, but what about the situation in APEC? For instance, India and Southeast Asia, these tech firms appear to be having no issue securing investment.
First of all, thanks for having me this evening. I wouldn't say that there are no challenges in fundraising. Fundraising has always been pretty challenging. But we are not seeing the kind of volume and the frequency of layoff in this part of the world, in APEC, in Southeast Asia and India. I think predominantly because it's still a very promising region for investors to invest. And therefore, with the funds available, right, there's still a longer runway for tech startup to grow their businesses. That also is because of some key factors, right, to why it's still a very attractive region for investment. One, because of the growing middle income, the adoption rate, accessibility of a high-tech, high-speed internet, and also the changing regulatory landscape. So, for example, in the area of healthcare, right, which is one of the most highly regulated sector in any country, especially in this region, right? Companies like mine, White Coat, we are increasingly given more space by the regulators in the region to offer our telemed services. So with all these, right, the growth narrative that we can offer investors, right, is generally still very attractive, and therefore, I don't foresee, seeing, any of this kind of massive layoff as we are witnessing in the States, which is essentially a more matured market for tech startup as compared to our region here.
Yeah, so a recent report said salaries for tech roles here in Singapore are set to rise, especially for those with unique skills. So what sets Singapore apart?
I would say Singapore has always been attractive, right, for talent to want to grow their career, build their family. So I think that we've always been a magnet for talent to come here to our country. And it's also helped by the fact that Singapore, we are a regional hub, right, for Southeast Asia, for APEC businesses. Now, why would the salary be rising is also because of, related to the previous questions, right? So the tech startups here are still very much in the growth stage. So the war for talent, for tech talents, right, have increasingly been acute. Right, and given that, of course, the salary would rise significantly, and in fact, it has been, it has been in that way, right? I would say in the last 5 years is easily about 30 to 40% increment in salary for most of the tech roles across the tech sector.
And looking ahead, what are the potential headwinds for tech startups or the sector as a whole in APEC that could affect hiring?
Definitely, what goes on in the other region in the world will definitely impact this part of the world as well, right? So I think the ongoing slump in the US, the less than attractive story with regards to IPO, right? We have seen how some of the recent, tech startup, right, after they got an IPO, how their shares have essentially gone down by as much as 60-70%. I think that will continue to, be an issue when it comes to how tech startup can increasingly raise enough funds, right, to support and to lengthen their runway as they move into the profitability level. So I think that would be one. And of course, in this whole notion about talent shortage, especially in specialized tech areas like data science, cybersecurity, that will continue to be an issue. And last but not least, I'll mention that the political stability, right, which impacts on any sectors, right, will continue to play out as a very important factor as well. So, hopefully the political stability stays the way it is in the region, so we can continue to be attractive to investors to invest in the startups.
Well, many thanks for speaking with us. I'm Jian Ping there from White Coat Global.